I don't want to take advice from fools. I just figure everything is cool until I hear it from you.
I'm Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com, the top sports betting website on the internet. We're going to take a look at part one of your bowl previews for day one. Let's start out with the New Mexico Bowl. Temple versus Wyoming. Temple is the big favorite at -6.5 with a total of 48, according to OffshoreInsiders.com. Now, the Owls have an 8-4 straight-up record, also 8-4 to the number, going under 7 of 11 contests. Likewise, the Cowboys are 8-4 outright, 7-4 to the college football betting spread, going under a remarkable 8-1. Temple averages 5.3 yards per rush versus squads that allocate an average of 4.3, 8.0 yards per pass attempt to teams that normally allow just 7.4, and 5.9 yards per play to 5.6, so they're obviously above average on offense. They're also above average on defense, allowing just 3.6 yards per rush to teams that normally get 4.3, 6.5 yards per pass to 6.6, and they're holding teams to 4.9 yards per play, which is 0.4 below their cumulative normal average. Now, no wonder the Pokes are underdogs, as their numbers suggest they are below average on both sides of the ball, despite their solid straight-up ledger. They get 5 yards per rush to teams that normally allow 4.8, but a very measly 6.4 yards per pass to 7.5, and 5.6 yards per play to defenses that normally permit 5.9. On defense, they allow a generous 5.1 yards per rush to squads that normally accumulate just 4.7, and 7.6 passing yards per attempt to 7.0, as well as 6.0 yards per play to teams normally getting 5.6. So they're below average in every defensive category. Spread betting trends: Temple is 10-1 outside conference play, 19-7 after allowing less than 20 points in the previous game. Wyoming 6-1 as an underdog of 3.5 to 10 points, and 11-4 off of a straight-up win. Some over-under trends: Temple is going under 12-3 off of a straight-up win. Wyoming over 6-1 as an underdog of 3.5 to 10 points. We're going to have more in just one moment. Folks, did you know the Canadian crew has a very strong play today? But the biggest story of them all, Bill Tanner says 2011 is without question the strongest card of the year. Not necessarily football card, but the strongest sports card, as he has all 3 bowl winners. Plus, he's got the NFL side and 2 college basketball. Very powerful card from Bill Tanner, who is the winningest handicapper all sports combined. You followed him for years on the Master Lock Line, now exclusively at OffshoreInsiders.com. www.offshoreinsiders.com. Idaho Bowl faces Utah State and Ohio. Utah State -2.5 with a total of 57. Utah State 7-5 outright, 6-5 in the back pocket. They've gone over at a 7-5 rate. Meanwhile, Ohio 9-4 straight up, 6-7 where it counts, going over at a 7-6 rate. Aggies have some impressive numbers, getting 5.8 yards per rush to foes that are permitting an average of 4.6. 8.0 rushing yards per attempt to 7.3, and 6.5 yards per play to teams normally allowing just 5.8. So that's pretty impressive offensive numbers. Ratings on the defensive end bode pretty well as well. They allowed just 3.6 yards per rush to foes that average 4.2, 6.4 passing yards per attempt to teams normally getting 6.9, and they hold teams to 0.5 yards per play below their normal average. Ohio's digits are competitive on offense, but not quite as good on defense as Utah State, that is. Bobcats get 4.8 yards per rush to foes that are permitting an average of 4.4. They also get a very rock-solid 8.1 passing yards per attempt to defenses that normally permit 7.3, and 6.2 yards per play to 5.7. So that's pretty impressive. Defensive numbers, they are allowing 3.7 yards per rush to teams normally getting 3.8. 6.6 yards per pass to 6.6, so they're as average as it gets, stopping the pass, and 5.2 yards per play to squads that normally earn a 5.1. Now, some spread betting trends. All records are ATS. Aggies are 7-0 after accumulating less than 170 yards passing in the previous game. 9-2 of the conference, 20-8 after accumulating more than 450 total yards in the previous game, but they're 1-6 off of a straight-up win. Ohio is 9-3 as underdogs. Some over-under trends. Ohio has gone over 10-1 as an underdog of 3 or less. Now, again, from offshoreinsiders.com, we take a look at the New Orleans Bowl, Louisiana Lafayette and San Diego State. San Diego State is the favorite at -4.5 with a total of 48.5. Raging Cajuns, 8-4, both straight up and against the spread, and they've gone over 8 of 12. The Aztecs are 8-4 straight up, but just 5-6 of the number going under at a 6-4 rate. Now, Lafayette's key numbers don't seem to justify their straight-up record. They average just 3.6 to foes that are normally permitting an average of 4.1, and 7.7 passing yards per attempt to teams that normally allow 7.1, compared to 5.6 yards per play to just 5.5. So they're a little bit above average on offense. On defense, they permit 3.8 yards per rush at defenses that allow an average of 3.8, 6.9 yards per rush to 6.6, and 5.2 yards per play. Make that 5.4 yards per play. The team's normally getting 5.2, making their neat defense just a notch below average. Well, San Diego State gets 5.1 yards per rush to teams that normally allow 4.6. 6.9 yards per pass to 7.7, giving them a middling 5.9 yards per play. The teams that normally get 6. Aztecs, meanwhile, are allowing 4.2 yards per rush to teams that normally getting 4.7. 7.5 passing yards per attempts to teams that are getting 7.5, which is not above average 5.5 yards per play to squads that normally accumulate 5.7. So they hold them to 0.2 below their normal average. Some spread betting trends. Louisiana Lafayette 9-1 on turf, 13-3 as underdogs, but 6-13 when coming off a spread win. Meanwhile, San Diego State is 8-3 off of a spread loss, but 0-6 says offshoreinsiders.com after accumulating more than 200 yards rushing in the previous game. San Diego State is going under 22-5 after accumulating more than 200 yards rushing, in the previous game. Lafayette over 7-1 outside the conference, over 37-17 after allowing more than 450 total yards in the previous game. You want free previews, all the rest of the bowls? Keep visiting offshoreinsiders.com. Make sure you sign up for that Twitter feed or the Facebook fan page. Just keep visiting offshoreinsiders.com for the best free information and the best premium information. www.offshoreinsiders.com.